What are Canadian rules on independent contractors versus employees? Why the distinction matters so much? In Canada, the line between an independent contractor and an employee is not just a technicality. It decides who pays and remits payroll deductions, who gets employment standards protections, and who carries certain legal risks. For a US company hiring people in Canada, misclassifying workers as contractors when they are really employees can lead to back payroll deductions, interest, penalties, and employment standards claims. So it is worth understanding how Canadian rules actually draw the line. Control, integration, and economic risk. Canadian authorities look at the reality of the relationship. One of the big factors is control. If you decide what work is done, how it is done, when it is done, and where it is done, you look more like an employer. Independent contractors normally have more say in how they meet the outcome you want. Integration matters too. If the person is woven into your business the same way your employees are, participates in the same routines, and is presented to the world as part of your team, that leans toward employee status. Economic risk is another piece. Real contractors run a business. They can make a profit or a loss. They often serve multiple clients. They pay their own expenses, and they invest in tools and equipment. Employees typically do not bear that level of risk. They get a predictable paycheck and rely on you for tools, systems, and overhead. Tools, equipment, and opportunity for profit. Who owns the tools and equipment used to do the work is part of the test. When the company provides everything, hardware, software, space, and materials, it looks more like an employment relationship. Contractors usually supply their own core tools. Opportunity for profit and risk of loss go with that. If someone is paid a flat hourly rate with no real chance to increase profit through efficiency, pricing, or managing their own costs, they look less like a business and more like a wage earner. Canadian decision makers weigh all these factors. No single one is decisive on its own, but together they build a picture. If most arrows point to this is really a job, calling someone a contractor in the agreement will not save you. Exclusivity and long-term relationships. Exclusivity is another signpost. If someone works only for you on an ongoing basis with no realistic time or ability to serve other clients, that points strongly toward employment. Short-term, clearly defined projects with a set end date and the freedom to work for others look more like contracting. Many misclassification problems arise when someone starts as a short-term contractor but effectively becomes a full-time, long-term member of the team without the paperwork catching up. For foreign employers, this transition is easy to miss because the contractor label stays on the invoice even as the working reality changes. Tax and payroll consequences of misclassification. If a worker is reclassified from contractor to employee, the company can be assessed for unremitted payroll deductions, including income tax, CPP, and EI, plus the employer portions of CPP and EI. The tax authority may credit some amounts if the worker has already paid tax, but that does not always wipe out your liability. You may also face penalties for failing to withhold and remit correctly. On top of the tax side, employment standards issues can appear. Workers may claim unpaid overtime, vacation pay, or other entitlements that employees receive. Suddenly, what looked like a simple contractor arrangement turns into a bundle of historical liabilities. Workers' compensation and other systems. Classification affects more than tax. Workers' compensation obligations, certain provincial levies, and eligibility for employment insurance benefits can all depend on whether someone is an employee. If you treat a worker as a contractor and do not include them in required coverage, an injury or interruption in work can expose you to claims and reimbursement demands you were not expecting. Practical approaches for US companies. For US companies, the safest approach is to use contractors for what they are meant for: discrete projects, specialized services, and genuine business-to-business relationships, not as a substitute payroll. If you need someone to work full-time, follow your schedule, use your tools, and represent your company to customers. You should be asking whether that role belongs inside an employment relationship instead. You can also revisit relationships periodically. If a contractor you hired for a short project is still there 2 years later, working just like an employee, it may be time to convert them to employee status under a Canadian employment contract and register for payroll. Final thoughts. Canadian rules on independent contractors versus employees focus on the substance of the relationship: control, integration, tools, risk, exclusivity, and how the work is actually done. Contracts and labels matter, but they are not the final word. For foreign employers, especially US firms used to more aggressive contractor models, taking these factors seriously is the difference between a clean structure and a slow-building compliance problem. If you want a practical framework and checklists to decide whether a Canadian role should be contractor or employee, you can explore more detailed plain language guidance at www.theaccountingandtax.com. If you require assistance with Canadian tax matters, our team is ready to provide reliable professional support. Please contact us at 416-283-8774 or visit theaccountingandtax.com for more information. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.